It's very safe, like a very small community type city.
You gotta be careful around here. You almost got hit by vehicles.
I feel very safe walking around.
This is a safe place to live.
A lot of drunk drivers.
The reason that we're so safe is that we're also, I believe, the second or third most capital efficient city.
Substance abuse issues.
Back in the early 80s, it was pretty bad. And the cops were bad too. But all the cops, I love every one of them. And the Latinos, I love the most.
Welcome to New Hampshire, where the motto is live free or die. And as soon as I cross the border, you're going to see a lot of retail and commercial big box stores start to pop up, as New Hampshire is one of the only states with no state sales tax and no state income tax. But apart from being a place that many Bostonians drive up to buy electronics or other expensive goods tax-free, New Hampshire actually just passed Maine to become the safest state in the nation, with an overall crime rate less than half the national average. And with a violent crime rate 58% below the national average, Nashua, the city that I'm now entering, is actually the safest city with a population over 50,000 residents in the United States. Now, my car is currently getting some work done in Boston, so I don't have the massive screen to show you exactly where Nashua is on the map, but it's the second most populous city in New Hampshire with around 91,000 residents, and it's located right on the border with Massachusetts in the southeastern part of the state. It's about 45 miles northwest of Boston, 20 miles south of Manchester, which is the largest city in New Hampshire, 60 miles west of the Atlantic Ocean, and 100 miles south of the White Mountains, which in my opinion are the most beautiful mountains and probably one of the most beautiful natural areas east of the Mississippi River. But Nashua is also a lot more than just a great central location. It's also a very old city with a ton of charm and a rich history. Look at this very old cemetery to my left. This is something that is very consistent with most New England cities and towns. There are massive cemeteries because these cities are very, very old and have had people probably buried in these cemeteries for at least 300-400 years. But as we are now entering the historic core of Nashua, let's park the car close to the downtown area and tell you a little bit about its history and how it's become the safest city over the years. So I parked up on this alleyway called Eldridge Street, directly next to Main Street, which is gonna be the road right at the end of this street. But there's also just this beautiful community garden here. I'm not too far from the downtown area, yet Nashua just feels like it has such a friendly community vibe. I don't know if anyone can just pick the plants here, but this is really, really nice. Now, directly across the street, we have the post office. Seems to be a pretty old building, and it also appears that many people are delivering packages and or letters. Now, New Hampshire is actually one of only 2 states which has both no state sales tax as well as no state income tax. And since it's really close to Boston, where there's a lot of really high paying jobs, a lot of people live in Nashua but work in Boston. And many of those people who work in Boston also are able to work from home, meaning for the days that they work from home in New Hampshire, they're actually paying no income tax on those wages. But although New Hampshire's tax-friendly laws are a big reason why Nashua has maintained such a big population and is still quite prosperous today, let's get into the history of why this city exists in the first place. Because as you can see by this Nashua City Hall directly in front of me, which was built in 1939, there's a lot of beautiful architecture in this city. And the City Hall was actually the second City Hall. The first was a little bit closer to the downtown area, which is up Main Street, kind of by where that spire is, I believe is the start of the downtown. The first City Hall was built in 1843, and the gold eagle that is actually at the top of this City Hall was from the original City Hall, and it was moved here when this was constructed in 1939. I don't think any cars are coming, so I'm gonna jaywalk really quickly and get a little bit of a better view of the City Hall. Oh, look at this, we have a Liberty Bell. It looks a little bit rusty. This is the city fire alarm bell from 1863. Wow, look at that. The old bell now is silent, hushed in its iron tongue, but the spirit it awakens still lives forever young. And this alarm bell certainly looks like it has had some wear and tear. Now over here it says this flagpole is dedicated to the recipients of the Purple Heart killed in action. So we have some memorials in memory of those who served in the defense of the Republic of Korea. So this is Korean War veterans from Nashua, New Hampshire. Yeah, as I'm going to get into later on, Nashua has always been a very patriotic city. Over half of the people who fought in the Battle of Bunker Hill during the American Revolution were actually from New Hampshire, but this City Hall building is just beautiful. So I met Stefania just on Main Street, and how long have you lived in Nashua?
4 months.
4 months, okay. And do you like it so far, or?
It's trashy.
You don't like it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I almost got hit by a vehicle the other day.
Really?
Yeah. Some guy just like drove into a store.
And where are you from originally?
I'm from Seabrook, Haverhill.
In Massachusetts?
Yeah, Haverhill, Mass, and then I moved to Seabrook, yeah.
What made you come to Nashua?
A job.
A job,
Yeah,
okay.
preschool teacher.
Oh, wow. And other than almost getting hit by cars, is the general sentiment of the town pretty safe, or do you not feel that safe here? Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of drugs and stuff, and you gotta be careful around here. I would be.
So I actually read before coming here that Nashua is the safest, somewhat large city in the country. Would you not agree with that at all?
Safer than probably a lot of areas in Boston, like Roxbury, Dorchester. It's like a New Hampshire town. It's white people that think they're gangster.
Are there any precautions that you take, or?
Just be careful on the road, like when you're walking down the road, there's a lot of drunk drivers.
A lot of drunk driving, okay.
Substance abuse issues.
There's a lot of substance abuse
Yeah.
issues here. Oh,
Yeah, be
okay.
careful. It's not bad though. I guess it's safer than other places. It's better than Manchester.
How would you say it compares to, say, Boston?
I lived in Boston for 10 years and I never got followed home. Cars beeping, honking, being weird, but it's like a bunch of white people that think they're tough. So
Here?
yeah.
Okay, so you...
Yeah, I know I got more respect in Boston than I do here.
So you felt safer in Boston than...
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
Roxbury Crossing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you've been here 4 months now. Would you say it's pretty easy to make friends here?
Yes. It's not that bad. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got
So-
put on the spot here, so I don't know.
So people in general are quite nice.
Yes.
What do you feel is the general vibe of the city? Is it quite depressed, or is it hopeful?
I want to say hopeful 5.5 out of 10. We're trying. Big recovery community here.
What would be the main change you would want to see in the city?
I think it's been pretty good. There's a lot of support for people with addiction problems I've seen. So Process is a good program.
And is there any hidden gem or place I need to check out while I'm
Mines
here?
Falls.
Mines
Mine
Falls.
Falls.
That's your favorite place in town.
Yeah, there's like miles of trails and stuff, so it's cool.
Thank you, Stefania.
Yeah, you're
have a good one.
Yeah.
So as I have learned from previous cities that I have explored, the stats do not always tell the full story. And as Stefania was just saying, she does not feel too safe in Nashua. I definitely want to talk to some more people, see what the general vibe is in town. But before we go down to the downtown area, I am realizing that I am a little bit hungry right now, and that Bagel Alley place sounded quite good. So let's get a bagel, and then we'll head back up Main Street downtown and tell you a little bit about how Nashua grew to become the second largest city in New Hampshire. So this is Bagel Alley, open from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Mondays to Fridays. Oh, we have like a little old log cabin vibe. This is nice. Oh, it's like an old diner. Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
Oh, wow. Everything's written in by hand.
You live in Nashua or you just...
I'm from Boston.
Why are you doing a documentary on Nashua?
Apparently it's the safest, somewhat large city in the country.
Oh, really?
Although from people I've talked to so far, it maybe isn't.
Like what?
Well, they're not happy with
Somebody told me that.
And these are the bagels, staying warm. I got myself an everything sandwich.
Want it toasted?
Yeah, that'd be great, thanks. They're in the bathroom in Bagel Alley. They have some fun artwork on the walls. I'm Smokey the Bagel, Holy Imitation Cream Cheese Bat Bagel, and I'll save the Bagel Alley. I really am digging the vibe. Look at this, I'm Beagle Bagel from Bagel Alley. I'm the Narragansett Bagel. Okay, and when did you move to Nashua?
Actually, I never moved to Nashua. I still live right across the border in Lunenburg.
And what do you think so far of Nashua?
Very nice city. I mean, they've done a lot to downtown. They redid all the streets and walkways and stuff and made it really nice with local businesses. The police department is very helpful, very nice. They're involved in the community.
And so the reason I came here actually is that I heard Nashua is the safest, somewhat large city in the U.S. What's your general take on that?
Well, that was last year's polls, so we'll see what this year's come in at. But there's definitely an increase in like homeless activity in the area, Main Street, or like up and down the whole strip. So hopefully it's something that they can take care of. But I know like outside of just the main street, it's very safe, like a very small community type city. But yeah, still a city. I've lived in Lowell. I've lived in Fitchburg. Nashua's definitely safer than like Fitchburg, especially.
So it's just like one little strip downtown, but everywhere else is...
that's all it is. It's kind of confined to this downtown area. It's up and down Main Street. There's what they call the tree streets, which is multiple like tree named streets. And that's kind of like where majority of the homeless hang out. You avoid those those areas, you don't really see much.
And what do you think is the reason why it's more safe here than in other cities?
More safe? Probably the people in the city, probably more the community itself, being involved, having a lot of community activities and such. We've been here for 35 years, and a lot of our customers are multi-generational at this point. Like we have grandparents to kids to grandkids that all still like live in the Nashua or right around the Nashua area.
So is there like a lot of things to do in Nashua, you'd say?
Yeah, and I find a lot of people go either to Boston or to Manchester because you're kind of in the middle. But I'd say there's definitely enough in Nashua area. Main Street has tons of nice restaurants and stuff. You can go axe throwing. You can go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's one bar called Codex. It's like a old speakeasy type thing and stuff like that. The Theater District, and then the mall, obviously.
Are there any changes you would still like to see added to Nashua?
Mainly just the homeless. I mean, they've put some programs in place in the last few years, but I feel like there's some additions that they could do to those programs to really help the community out. They kind of set those programs up, started running them, and then just left us to deal with it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Zach.
All right.
So I got an everything bagel with turkey, egg, and a few vegetables. Let's take a bite. Now I'm back home in Boston editing this video, and while the bagel wasn't bad, I would have much preferred one of Factor's fresh, never frozen, delicious meals. I'm a busy guy, spending most of my free time either editing videos or doing research for future videos. So instead of spending hours grocery shopping and meal prepping, Factor delivers affordable, restaurant quality meals right to my door. With 35 different dietitian approved options, including Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, and vegan or vegetarian. And they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, so I can get right back to making more videos. So what are you waiting for? Head over to factor75.com or click the first link in the description and use my promo code FHTT50 to get 50% off your first Factor box, as well as 20% off your next month of orders. That's code FHTT50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first Factor box, plus 20% off your next 4 boxes. But as I get back to eating this delicious baked beans and smoked tofu bowl, how about we get back to downtown Nashua? And thank you, Factor, for sponsoring today's video. I am now well nourished and ready to head down Main Street to downtown, but I just noticed there is some type of costume just sitting in this community garden. That is interesting. It's just like a big mannequin. I have a feeling that Nashua is going to be a bit more interesting than previously expected. But back up Main Street we go, which is a lot busier than I would have expected. For a Thursday, it's around noon right now. There's a lot of people out and about, and a lot of cars out and about. Now, Nashua is located at the confluence of the Nashua and Merrimack rivers, and the area that is modern-day Nashua has been inhabited for at least 8,000 to 10,000 years, originally by the Pennacook people. The first European settlement in the area was in 1654 as a fur trading town, which later went on to be called Dunstable of the Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1673. Now, this building on my right, the Church of the Good Shepherd, was built in 1871, so it was built almost 200 years after the town of Dunstable was named. And I guess it just goes to show how old Nashua really is and how much history the city has. Now, ironically, considering the city's safe description today, in its early days, Dunstable was a very dangerous town. There was about 50 years of near constant bloodshed with King Philip's, Queen Anne's, King William's, and countless other wars from around 1675 until 1725. In fact, it was so dangerous that the first European settlers here wouldn't even dare leave their homes without bearing arms. Now, it looks like as we do head toward the downtown here in Nashua, though, there are a lot of really interesting and cute small businesses. We got some real estate property management, we got eyewear, and Nashua Coins and Collectibles. We are the pickers. I wonder if this is a coin shop? This actually seems quite interesting. Let's go inside. Oh, it's just like all sorts of gems. Hey, how you doing? Wow. Oh, they have old vintage coins. Ben Franklin 50-cent coins? I didn't even know Ben Franklin was on the 50-cent coin. The people in the coin shop didn't want to be interviewed, but I just learned that apparently until 1963, all of the half dollars had Ben Franklin on it, which makes sense because John F. Kennedy hadn't even been president until 1961. They did also tell me that a lot of these buildings, while they have new businesses today, are at least 100 years old. They have tin roofs still. And over here where the Nashua Center of Arts is, used to be an old bank that they tore down, and now it's a fancy new building. Look at the juxtaposition of that next to this other very old building and the what does that say? Something's Exchange. To get back into the early history, however, in 1741, there was a border dispute between Massachusetts and New Hampshire, which resulted in the then town of Dunstable being divided into two separate Dunstables. A Dunstable, Massachusetts, which still exists today, as well as a Dunstable, New Hampshire, which went on to become modern-day Nashua, as well as many of the towns in the surrounding region. And this here says the Nashua Farmers Market at City Hall Plaza, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every Sunday through October. Yeah, I'm definitely getting the vibe of it's large enough to feel like a city, but not too large to where people don't say hi. So over here says Tremont Square District. So it features an 1847 Brick Creek Revival Third Orthodox Congregational Church on the north corner of Main and East Pearl. Wow. So there's going to be an 1847 building. Now, obviously it was a lot smaller back then and it wasn't paved, but this main street that I'm now walking up was part of the original Great Boston Road from the early 1700s, which connected Boston with Concord, New Hampshire, which is the capital of New Hampshire, about 35 miles north of here. And back in the 18th century, it was actually New Hampshire's only viable transportation route to the rest of the country. And as such, Nashua's economy and politics have always been deeply linked with Boston's. By 1800, the population of then Dunstable, New Hampshire was around 750 people, and the economy was almost entirely based on taverns for people traveling the Great Boston Road between Concord and Boston. But when the 27-mile-long Middlesex Canal was completed in 1803, which connected the Merrimack River on the eastern edge of town with the Boston Harbor, the previously too costly transportation of natural goods such as timber, brick, lime, granite, and wool suddenly became viable, opening up regular commerce with Boston and the rest of the world. A lot of people don't know this, but Boston back in the 1700s and early 1800s was the largest port in the US. So far, I'm loving the historic vibe of Nashua. I'm loving how busy and alive it feels, even though the population is only 91,000. And look at these just charming old clocks in the middle of the sidewalk. City of Nashua. I haven't actually heard too much about an art scene in Nashua, but it appears that at least some of these buildings have some beautiful murals on them. And I believe that the Nashua River should just be right up there. But before we get to the Nashua River, I am actually craving a coffee right now. And this place right here, Jajabelle's, says they have breakfast, lunch, and coffee. Let's head in here and get a coffee. Oh yeah, look at this. It's a nice little bakery in here. A lot of pastries. Wow, these pastries look delicious.
Thank you. Welcome. Is this your first time here?
Yeah.
What turned you in?
Making a little documentary on Nashua right now.
Awesome.
These Pop-Tarts look extravagant. Yeah.
I'm taking photos.
A little video of
We
them.
adjust things for you. We make everything in-house.
These pastries look too good. I had to get a Pop-Tart. And Jess is warming it up for me. And what are these you're taking out of the oven right now? Oh, spanakopita.
I don't even know what YouTube is. I'm literally the worst.
I'm here with Jess, the owner of Jajabelle's on Main Street. You said that you started your baking journey at the Vail Farmers Market in Colorado.
I started in 2006. So I grew up in Nashua, New Hampshire. This is where my family's from. And at 25, I went out west to visit a friend. And I remember sitting in this coffee shop and seeing the taste of Denver. So I called, and I was doing Greek pastries for my mother's kitchen back on the East Coast. So I started doing markets to do Vail, Estes Park, and Dillon.
So when did you decide to come back to Nashua, and why?
10 years ago, as fast as I went to Colorado, I came home. I was heading to the airport. I saw a vacant spot on Main Street. I flew back a week later and signed the lease.
What about Nashua has always spoke to you? Is it just families here, or is there a part
I grew up here. The thing about Nashua is you have roots here. What is really exciting about downtown is that we now have younger generations coming in, so excited about our city.
You see like new people moving to Nashua
All the time.
Like young people too.
Yes, a lot of young people who are in Boston come here. We have families that come here. Our downtown in the last few years especially, we're popping up with apartment buildings everywhere. And it's exciting to feel like we are like a bustling little city.
Like it definitely feels way more busy than I thought it would be considering the population.
Great.
What do you think is the main thing that keeps the city so lively, that attracts people here?
I think the focus on our downtown is a big thing. I think the people in office, they want to move forward. They want to see a downtown where people come. We have a performing arts center that they were talking about for years and years, decades actually, finally came to fruition in the last year and a half. And wonderful acts come in. People like to visit. The farmers market's great.
So the main reason I came here
Yes.
is Nashua has the lowest violent crime rate among any city. Do you feel that walking around, or what's your general take on
My
that?
general take on it is I feel very safe walking around. I think no matter where you go, you can live in the smallest town and say it's not safe. I feel if you talk to your neighbors and get to know the people around you, it's a pretty good thing.
I mean, it seems like you've known probably the 10, 15 people that have walked in here, you know them all by name already. It still has that small town vibe where people know their neighbors. Is that a true statement, would you say?
No matter where you go, you know who you want to know. We're a multicultural city. People come here for recovery. You get to know your neighbors. You get to know the people in recovery. People are good. No matter what they're going through, what trauma people go through, we all go through things. If you just take the time to get to know them, it lessens the gap.
2 final questions. What, if any, changes would you want to see come to Nashua? And as someone from Nashua, what does being a Nashuan mean to you?
I think that, I'll start. I would love to see a walkable downtown.
It seems pretty walkable.
It
right?
is walkable, but closing the street. Not the main street, but I would like to see a street closed where people feel like they can come and gather for lunch. And what Nashua, being a Nashuan means, I'm very proud to be from Nashua. That my grandparents were from Nashua on the French side and the Greek side. And I was able to learn the culture of the Greek neighborhood and then the French neighborhood.
And were your ancestors, were they part of the whole textile industry when that
They
was
were.
all? Okay, wow.
They were. My grandmother, right over here, she worked. My meme, it's funny, she lived in French Hill, was born here, but had the thickest French accent, you couldn't understand her, even though she was born here in Nashua, New Hampshire. And no matter where you go, we all seem to come back home. And one thing I love to do is we always have a big party the night before Thanksgiving, because it's the busiest time to go out. That's when everyone's home. It's just so wonderful to see the people that you grew up with. There's something special about that.
I guess one final question then.
Yes.
Is Nashua, in your opinion, is it a more family-oriented city, or is there still a lot of fun things for young people to do as
I
well?
think there's a lot to do for everyone. The more you become involved, the more Nashua gets bigger and bigger. We have Positive Street Art, which does these amazing murals, just different events downtown. But we are 1 hour from Boston. We are 1 hour from the mountains. We're 1 hour from the beach. I think that's what makes Nashua incredibly special, is you can go anywhere, and within an hour, hour and a half, you will be in a different place. You can even jump on a plane. We are 20 minutes from an airport, Manchester Airport. If not, we have a bus to Boston, but we're hoping for rail. And that's one thing I'm really...
Oh, like a commuter rail?
Commuter rail.
Does it go to Lowell so far, or does it?
It starts in Lowell.
So you have to just build that next stretch. Okay.
Yeah. Welcome to Nashua.
And this is my delicious warmed up s'mores pastry with a view of Main Street, Nashua. Let's eat. So good.
So I'm here with Paul, the executive director of Great American Downtown, and Jess was telling me that you put on most of the community events in town.
I think that that's giving us too much credit. We are the Main Street program for Nashua, so we do the farmers market, the winter holiday stroll, big Taste of Downtown event, and things like that.
Why do you think, for a city of Nashua's size, it is considered so safe?
We have a lot of people lifting people up. The Nashua Soup Kitchen and Shelter does amazing things. Public health, the police, all the city departments. On that side of things, we have a strong safety net. On a broader level, I feel that Nashua has a great sense of community and connection through community events, neighborhood watch groups that are facilitated by the police. There's a lot of ways for people to connect and a lot of good activities for people to do, pro-social things, and that's one of the biggest preventative measures in terms of community crime, really making sure that people have opportunities to practice their passions and not get bored.
And were you born in Nashua originally? Or?
No, I was born in Mass, grew up in Pelham, New Hampshire, and moved to Nashua after college.
You've obviously visited Boston, Manchester?
Yeah, a lot during college for Boston. Manchester, kind of after college for a little bit. That's where I met my wife on a kickball league. I like those places. I love it here.
And what do you prefer specifically of Nashua over those places?
I like the way that our downtown feels. This is our Main Street. It's called Main Street, but it's really a true classic Main Street in the sense of the word. The center of the community, it's very clear. But then also we have Mine Falls. It's amazing. Yeah, it's right. It's like a 3-minute drive up the street from here.
Oh, okay.
So Greeley Park is beautiful.
So I grew up in Boston, and I guess as a kid, I only ever heard of Nashua as the place you go Venmo to buy a laptop or expensive things
Yep.
tax-free. Would you say that's the biggest misconception about Nashua, that it's a lot more than that? Or-
I mean, it is a lot more than that. I could understand why someone from Massachusetts would kind of view that as our role in their life, but it is a destination. The Performing Arts Center, it's already shown some great acts in.
So obviously it's not as expensive as Boston here, but it's still quite expensive. Would you say there's enough good jobs here, or do most people work in the Boston area still?
We have a lot of great jobs in technology, defense. There are also some larger employers just outside of the city. Fidelity is one of the biggest employers in the state. We have BAE Systems, a lot of smaller defense operations. There's of course a lot of retail and service jobs, and there's a lot of good blue collar jobs too. The construction happening right now. The city does a fine job taking good care of employees and making sure they're well supported. Healthcare, we have a lot of large healthcare facilities.
What do you think is the main reason Nashua has been able to reinvent itself and still remain a prosperous city, despite its small size?
It's adaptability and resilience and vision. The river used to be the resource for power, transportation. We are re-establishing the riverfront as a destination not for business, but for tourism and leisure. And the city is installing new park where there was a parking lot, create a venue for events, and is working on multiple miles of trails that are going to connect the downtown to Mine Falls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so someone could come downtown for dinner and they'd be able to go for like a 6-mile, real nice walk through a beautiful space.
And so how long total have you been in Nashua now?
So I went to school in Nashua. I've been here a lot since I was very young.
Has the city changed a lot since then?
In some ways, after the great financial crisis, we weren't really building any new buildings. But over the course of maybe the last 8 years or so, there has been new apartment buildings, creating more housing, whether it's affordable housing or subsidized. Our population remained around 85, 90,000, but I think we're looking at pushing up against 100. I would not be surprised in the next 5 years.
Oh, wow.
The downtown has some great nightlife. It's not as expensive as it might be 15 miles to the south even. I'd also say it's a great place for families. We also have great resources for older folks. So the Nashua Senior Center.
A few people have told me that there's a seemingly high homeless population here. Would you say that's true, or does the city do a pretty good job
I think
of
that's a perception and a reality that's the case across much of the country. But I also think that with inflation and the state of the economy and the cost of housing, et cetera, it's been a challenge for a lot of people who were at risk. And so in Nashua, we see increase, I think. I think in Manchester, you see it, whether it's crime or homeless. I do think we do a very good job of taking care of folks. It's a funny thing, right? It's the reality of perception. I feel it in my heart that this is a safe place to live. But there's also times when I didn't feel that safe, but I think that happens anywhere.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Paul. That was great.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure.
You might not be able to guess it from the outside, but these black windows right here is actually Jaja Bells. There is literally no sign, there is no way to know it is Jaja Bells unless you know it is Jaja Bells. But I am absolutely loving just the vibe of Nashua, New Hampshire so far. It seems like everyone knows everyone. It seems like people are just very nice, but of course you're gonna have motorcycles going very fast and loud with their engines too. I actually remember up until just a few years ago, New Hampshire was the only state that didn't require motorcyclists to wear helmets. I think since then they have implemented a new law where you have to wear a helmet, but New Hampshire's motto of live free or die, they really live free or die. Jess really was so kind and told me about so many different shops and businesses that I should check out, as well as where to go to see the actual cool part of Mine Falls, which is the main waterfall in town on the Nashua River. But talking about the Nashua River, as we are almost at the Nashua River, in 1836, the New Hampshire town of Dunstable was actually renamed Nashua because of the Nashua River. It was named after the Nashaway people, which were an indigenous people group, and Nashua in the local language means beautiful stream with a pebbly bottom. If I know anything about New England Northeast rivers, most of these rivers have very smooth rocks and pebbles on the bottom. Up here we have Oddfellows Brewing Company. That Martha Exchange building, which was next to the bank that I walked by earlier, is an entirely different brewery. There seem to be many breweries in town. Jess was telling me about like 3 or 4 other places as well. There's another one right here?
Like that, around this road, take the left right here, and this one right there, brand new.
Okay, thank you, wow. And apparently there's another brewery just down this road on the left. Espresso Pizza. Yeah, I love how there's so many small businesses in town still. Most of small town America seems to have lost all of their business. Nashua has definitely, oh, and look at that. We're getting the first start of our fall colors. Today is September the 12th, 2024. Oh, and this is the Nashua River down here. Wow, and you can see the old mills. That is so cool. And there is a beautiful old home just across the Nashua River. It seems like there is a lot of construction going on down here. They are trying to build an entire greenway to connect Mine Falls, which was also the main reason why Nashua grew in the first place. So in 1821, in Lowell, Massachusetts, about 10 miles, 15 miles south of here, is where the American Textile Industrial Revolution began. They harnessed the power of Pawtucket Falls to power mills. The mills in Lowell were obviously a tremendous success, leading to a booming economy. So Nashua wanted to get in on a little bit of the action as they had their own beautiful waterfall, which we are going to be checking out later today as well. And so in 1823, the Nashua Manufacturing Company actually hired Asher Benjamin, who's considered one of the founding fathers of American architecture, to design a new manufacturing town, which went on to be this modern layout of Nashua, New Hampshire, that I'm walking through right now. Nashua was actually the first planned manufacturing township in New Hampshire, and it was the first city or town of any kind in the state to feature an urban grid street system. And wow, look at this on the Nashua River. There is a lot of construction going on, and you can see all of these old mills. This was really one of the manufacturing capitals. Oh, look at that over there. There's a duck or a geese just swimming in the Nashua River. But after the city dug a 3-mile canal connecting Mine Falls to the town, Nashua exploded in growth, doubling in population from 1,142 residents in 1820 to over 2,400 residents by 1830, and then to over 6,000 by 1840. At that point, it had become the largest city in the state of New Hampshire, and by 1928, the town already had a machine shop, 2 massive cotton factories, over 20 storefronts, 2 taverns, 2 churches, and 4 mills employing over 1,000 different workers. I believe that building over there is the old Nashua Telegram building. Wow, I didn't even notice this. There are still so many old storefronts. But textiles and manufacturing weren't the only way that Nashua has always been at the forefront of modern technology, as in 1836, New Hampshire's first railroad, which is actually these tracks you see in front of me right here, was constructed. Wow, look at that. Beaufurs Cafe and Espresso. Yeah, this has to be a very, very old building. Apparently the railroad is still used today. I'm not sure how frequent the trains do come through town. But yes, in 1838, the Nashua and Lowell Railroad, which connected the 2 manufacturing powerhouses at the time, was completed, and it brought revolutionary change to both of these cities' very forward-thinking economies. By the 1840s, there were not Dunkin' Donuts, which is probably the most popular New England coffee destination. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Dunkin', but I know everyone here swears by it. But while there were no Dunkin' Donuts yet, by the 1840s, machine shops, iron foundries, railroad shops, and countless other types of manufacturers had set up businesses all along this canal street, as well as Water Street on the other side of the river and East Hollis Street, which we walked down earlier. By 1878, there were 6 major railroad lines interconnected in Nashua, which allowed it to transport its manufacturing goods pretty much anywhere in the country. Looks like here we have a Nashua Police neighborhood office. Yeah, apparently there's a very good relationship between the city, the residents, and the police in town. I think this church, Gate City Church, I think that might be the church from 1847. Now, Manchester, the current largest city in New Hampshire, grew to overtake Nashua in population sometime in the 1880s due to their rival and larger manufacturing companies and mills. But Nashua's central location to many New England locations kept it as the 2nd largest city in New Hampshire. Wow, what is this building? Are they tearing it down, or are they doing renovations on it? I would guess renovations. Over there we have El Típico, probably some type of Mexican food. I know there's a huge Latino population in Nashua. Nashua is actually the most diverse city in New Hampshire, and that goes back to when, between the end of the Civil War in 1900, many immigrants, particularly from Europe at the time, but later from many other countries, ended up settling in Nashua. But over here, I believe, is the Unitarian Church, Greater Nashua Crop Hunger Walk. Yeah, it seems like there's plenty of group events, community events in town. They got the rainbow flags. It seems like they are a welcoming type of congregation. And this building right here, at least the main building, was built in 1826. So the Unitarian Church is that little bit of white through the trees. And I am currently walking up Lowell Street to a different church right here, the First Church, which was constructed in 1893. And I just love how much green and trees are in this portion of the country. There is nothing like an autumn in New England, and you can already see the trees starting to change color. It is starting to feel quite a bit hot. I looked at the temperature. It is currently 81 degrees, which is about normal with this time of year. Summertime highs are usually in the high 90s to mid 80s during the day, and then the mid 50s to low 60s at night. Although there will also be days above 90 degrees, 95 degrees, and the humidity in the Northeast, it is no joke. 90 degrees here, in my opinion at least, is worse than 115 in Las Vegas. Looks like we have a Latin bakery over there. Yeah, it just goes to show, Nashua really is quite a diverse city. Now, the hottest ever recorded temperature in New Hampshire actually occurred in Nashua. It was 106 degrees Fahrenheit. But one of the main reasons I moved away from New England is just that the winters are brutally, brutally cold, and they last a very long time. In the wintertime, the average high is usually in the low to mid 30s, while it gets down to the low to mid teens at night. And with that humidity, with that wind, the Northeast cold just feels so much colder than the temperature might suggest. The one positive is that you actually still get quite a bit of sun in the wintertime. It's not a place like Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or Portland, Oregon, where you have just cloudy day after cloudy day. Here in Nashua, you get 201 sunny days per year. I think this building right here is actually the old church. Yeah, let's walk around on the other side of it. And over here we have Matthey's Garage. I really appreciate how you have, sure, some more gentrified buildings, but also a lot of these old working class, gritty, small businesses that New England's known for. Oh, Riverwalk Cafe. Yeah, there's a lot of cafes and a lot of restaurants. I'm genuinely surprised at the number of businesses. They've done a great job at making sure this downtown is walkable and that it has enough stuff for people of all ages to be entertained. And the Hunt Memorial Building. So I'm now on the other side of that building. There is the Matthey's Garage. And this building actually used to be the old public library, built in 1903. Oh, Great American Downtown. So that's the organization that Paul works for. Oh yeah, and right here it says Nashua Public Library. So this used to be the public library. Let's see if I can go inside actually. It appears to be locked. So maybe you have to schedule an appointment to be able to go inside. But I really love what especially Paul has been doing, and just the city in general. It seems to not want to lose its old historic charm, all of the old buildings, but it also doesn't want to stay stuck in the past. And yeah, this is that church from 1893, First Church. What a beautiful building. And I'm realizing that all of the street names in Nashua are named after towns and cities. Amherst and Concord Street. Let's run across this street real quick and check out this park. Look at these cannons, wow. Oh, so I guess these are the people who would have fought in the Civil War. Yeah, Nashua's always been a very patriotic city. The men who served their country on land or sea during the War of the Rebellion and aided in preserving the integrity of the Federal Union. Erected by the city of Nashua in 1889. Wow, what a beautiful monument. Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
Good.
Yeah, man. Brothers were killing each other.
What's your name?
John Fitzgerald.
John Fitzgerald. Making a little video. Would you mind being interviewed for the video?
Sure. I'm on YouTube anyway.
Really?
Boston, North End.
You're from Boston?
Yeah.
Okay, what are you doing up here right now?
I was sent to the wrong city. I was supposed to go to Manchester where my crew is, because I raised my kids and had 2 houses in Pembroke and Epsom in the Concord area.
Okay. And how long have you been in Nashua?
Just a little over 6 months.
6 months, okay.
But I grew up here years ago and I worked for Sanders Lockheed. In 81 and 82 I did Army and Navy government contract work. Originally I was born and raised in Lowell. Went to England and looked at the machines, had a photographic memory, and came back and knew how the weaving machines worked. Textile. My aunt was 100 years old. She lived in a house with horse hair insulation on Plain Street in Lowell.
And how long ago was this?
By Prince Spaghettiville, the 40s. And
40s, okay.
50s.
Do you like Nashua or?
I love it.
Okay, what's your favorite thing about Nashua?
People are happy, friendly. It's very veteran-centric.
Is it? Okay.
I'm thinking of making this my home base. Up on Concord Street by Greeley Park.
And have you lived anywhere else in New Hampshire before, or just Nashua?
The whole East Coast.
Not
From Maine to Miami. In
City.
Maine, my parents' house on the mouth of the Saco River, Stephen King paid my mother rent.
Wow. And any big changes you would want to see in Nashua, or do you like it as it is?
Yeah, there's a lot of changes. The sidewalks. I know they're working on them, but they're just patching it.
Yeah.
Because I trip on them. When you have these bricks going across, like the wharf by the Margaritas, I mean, I don't want my 90-year-old grandmother tripping on them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very hard to walk there. Nobody can skateboard there. I mean, it's high because we have frost heaves in the winter and whatever. Lumpy, smooth. Because when I trip on them, which I can't afford because I'm on a medical discharge Marine.
So you're a veteran?
Yes. I went in during Grenada, and then it was Desert Storm in Iraq.
Oh, wow.
He's a Marine too.
Thank you guys for your service. Wow.
You're welcome. I'd do it again if they let me back in. Give me M60. What'd you say?
Does Nashua take good care of veterans here? Or?
Yes, they do. Cape Cod's even better. Better than Boston.
Does Nashua feel pretty safe to you?
Wait, where you going? Oh yeah.
Does Nashua feel is it very friendly?
Back in
good
the early 80s, it was pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
And the cops were bad too. But all the cops, I love every one of them. And the Latinos, I love the most too. They're happy. They love their food, music, their bambinos. Just want to enjoy life.
Mm-hmm.
Not fight.
No, that's awesome. No, Nashua, it's been a really cool city walking around. Yeah.
A lot of history here.
And what's your favorite piece of history about Nashua?
The oldest building.
Which one's that?
Which is the one Margaritas is 1919, I think. Henry Ford didn't even have hair in his nuts yet.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, man. We had
That's
fun.
great. Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah,
Have a good one.
You should go to Pennacook. Boscombe has a national cemetery built along the lines of Arlington. Unlike Arlington, you can have your spouse buried
Veterans
with you, and they
Cemetery.
have recordings playing. It's the national cemetery. They don't advertise it enough.
That's
Just
Daniel
like
Webster
Darwin.
Highway. Abraham Lincoln's from New Hampshire.
Oh, wow.
Google it.
Yeah.
Is there anything I don't know?
And directly across this park, we have the Abbott Spalding Museum, which was built in 1804. And yes, this house looks like it was built in 1804. This might be one of the, if not the oldest, it's still standing in Nashua. Apparently there is a lot of federal period architecture in the building because 1804 is basically when Thomas Jefferson was president. Daniel Abbott, Nashua's first attorney, is known as the father of Nashua. Wow. So yeah, I heard the Nashua Historical Society has purchased a lot of these old buildings and turned them kind of into museums. It's by appointment only. The Abbott Spalding House, built in 1803 to 1804. Daniel Abbott, the father of Nashua, and his family were the original residents. William Spalding, a noted banker and antique dealer, and his family were the last residents. And yeah, this is a beautiful shot with the first changing of the leaves here. I cannot wait for autumn time here in New England. It looks like all the buildings. This building also looks very, very old. But yes, to go back to how cold it is going to be here in just a few months, Nashua also gets about 55 inches of annual snowfall. You are definitely going to need a shovel to live here. That's more snowfall than Boston. And in January and February, the city sees close to 15 inches of snow on average. Those are the two snowiest months of the year. I lived in Boston during the 2015 Snowmageddon storm. I'm sure it was even worse up here in Nashua. And then in terms of other precipitation, there's about 48 inches of rain throughout the year, and it averages out to about 3.5 inches. Well, it seems like a lot of people really like to rev their engines, but between 3.5 to 5 inches per year. Is it just me, or have there been an awfully large number of motorcycles today? There are so many beautiful shots in this city. I am currently walking up Amherst Street. Oh, I think this is the fire department, is it? No, Lander Company. Yeah, it is a fire station. Wow. I wonder how old this building is. Looks like it's late 1800s too. But if I continue up this road for about 2 more blocks, I should come to Holman Stadium, which is the main baseball park in town. It used to actually host minor league baseball. Over here on the right is the North Common Park. It looks like they have a few children's baseball stadiums, as well as a football field. The Halloween decorations are already out in early September, which makes me wonder, I think there are actually quite a few kids in the town of Nashua The median age is actually 40.1, despite New Hampshire's median age of 43.3 years being the second highest of any state. Obviously, Nashua being a city is going to attract a younger population, and 17% of the population is under the age of 18. 17% of the population is also over the age of 65. The city is 49% male, 51% female, and as I mentioned earlier, Nashua is the most diverse city in New Hampshire. It is about 70.3% white, 13.9% Hispanic or Latino, 7.8% Asian, 2.6% Black, 0.2% Native American, and 4.3% two or more races. But over here we have yet another baseball park for kids to play at. There's a nice basketball court. It really does feel like this would be a great place to raise a family. It's so peaceful. You hear the crickets. And over here we have Holman Stadium. I actually don't know if we're going to be able to take a peek inside. Now, the stadium was originally built in 1937. It was used by the Nashua Dodgers, which were the Brooklyn Dodgers minor league team back in the 1940s, and then later the Nashua Pirates, which were another minor league team during the 1980s. The stadium has seen many, many upgrades over the years, the most recent coming in 2017. And while it no longer hosts minor league baseball, it hosts the Nashua Silver Knights. Wow, look at this. There are so many Silver Knights advertisements. And yeah, it's a full-size regulation field for the Futures Collegiate Baseball League, which is a college wood bat league. The season ended in August, so I'm not going to be able to see a game. That would be very cool to see one, however. And the seating capacity is 2,825. That's kind of cool. Over here, there's like a place to sit at a bench and watch the Nashua Silver Knights play. Wow, this is a beautiful little field. It's not even a minor league field, but it seems very well maintained. Now, apparently this field also hosts many concerts, and in the springtime, it's also the home field for both Rivier University and Bishop Guertin High School. Oh, look at that. The sprinklers have just turned on. I can't even imagine playing for a high school team and having this nice of a stadium. And speaking of schools, Nashua does have one university in town. So let's head back to the car, check out Rivier University, and then Mine Falls Park. And there are just old houses after old houses. I love the color of that one. That's like a blue house up there. You can see the bleachers of the baseball stadium. This I just looked up is the Mount Pleasant Elementary School. Seems like there's quite a few schools in the town of Nashua. There are two public high schools, and directly behind that Abbott Spalding house as I come back to the original bridge is the Nashua Historical Society. I didn't even see this building the last time. This is just another absolutely gorgeous historic building. It says Florence H. Sphere Memorial. And over here there's a little park area which used to be Railroad Yards, one of the first shopping complexes where a lot of the stores and businesses were in the original city of Nashua. Deschenes Park, named in memory of Amédée Deschenes, Nashua automatic rifleman in the World War 1918. So World War I, wow. Oh, it tells you how many people fought in each of the wars. So 6,824 people killed in the Revolutionary War, 2,260 in War of 1812. The Civil War, yes, this was the deadliest conflict in American history. 214,000 killed, wow. Spanish-American War, World War I. And over here we have all of the different Nashua members of the Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Seabees. Wow, erected by the city of Nashua in sincere gratitude to the men and women who served their country on land, at sea, and in the air during World War II. Oh, 9 p.m. curfew, police take notice. So I'm crossing over the Nashua River yet again. On the other side, there's Margaritas, as well as what looks like another old mill, which has been converted now into apartments, it seems. Yeah, this river is just so peaceful, so beautiful. Yeah, just look at all the different dams on the beautiful Nashua River. Paul was saying you're gonna have a 6-mile walking or biking path to get all the way to Mine Falls from this here Jackson Falls, and this is the Jackson Dam. Originally constructed sometime in the 1830s, it has been renovated many, many times, but it really makes sense why this city once had so many factories, so many manufacturing places. Oh, and looks like we have someone fishing right now. I wonder what type of fish are in the Nashua River, but I'd imagine there's quite good catches. Now, if we were to follow this river about another mile, mile and a half, we would meet up with the Merrimack River, which is a much larger river. And on this Greenbelt path, it does appear that we have a few tents, probably for the homeless population. Although, considering this is like a real city, it doesn't seem like there are too many homeless people. The city appears to do a pretty good job of taking care of them. Over here it says the Nashua River Jackson Falls Dam. The Nashua River, formed over 15,000 years ago by a glacial flow, is responsible for Nashua's rich industrial history and is vital to Nashua's transportation, leisure, and community. In March 1936, Nashua witnessed its most severe flood of the Nashua River, with the water level increasing by 12 feet. It destroyed $2 million worth of buildings, bridges, and houses, and left 2,000 people homeless. In the 1830s, the Jackson Company built a dam east of the Main Street Bridge to power their mills. The dam, rebuilt in 1847 and again in 1878, was built with wood, and in 1907, the Jackson Company built a concrete dam in front of the wooden dam. By the 1920s, the dam was converted to hydropower and the powerhouse was built. Since 1977, the powerhouse has been occupied by several restaurants, beginning in 2000, Margaritas. The dam stopped generating electricity after the mills closed, but began again in 1984 after being acquired by the city of Nashua. Wow, so fascinating history of the Jackson Falls Dam. Apparently this Margaritas building used to be the powerhouse that generated all of the hydroelectricity from this dam, which has been in operation for close to 200 years now. And I just love the way the granite and the rock in this part of the country is. It is so beautiful. And just up the path from the river where I was at, we have the sign indicating the library, Court Street Theater, Main Street, and Railroad Square are up this way. I do also like how there are enough monuments and art in the town to keep things interesting without there being an overwhelming amount. Over here we have the Nashua Public Library. I've heard they are actually one of the only public libraries in the country where you can rent instruments from. It is currently a 57,000 square foot building. They moved to this current location in 1971, but the original library was from 1867. Let's go inside real quick, do a little look around, shall we? Yeah, it looks like a nice little library. Hey, how you guys doing? Yeah, so they have the Hunt Room, Stearns Room, Children's Room, and then on this side, we have the books. It's a really nice building, wow. So upon leaving the library, which was that building just down there, directly in front of it, we have the county courthouse, built in 1901. It says Court 1901 House. Nashua is part of Hillsbury County, and Manchester, New Hampshire, which is the largest city in New Hampshire, is also part of Hillsbury County. So they actually share the county seat. There is one county courthouse here in Nashua, and there's also one in Manchester. Here on the right, we have a wow, that is a cool mural. Look at this. And over here we have Post 30, the American Legion. I wonder what this building is here. Take courage when the road is long. Don't ever forget you are not alone. I just realized it's a little hard to see with the sun. Let's get a little closer. Yeah, this is a beautiful mural. I just looked up on the map, however, that this is no longer the county courthouse, or at least the main county courthouse. It is the original county courthouse, which was built in 1901. That's why it's called Court 1901 House. But the current county courthouse is a much bigger location about 2 blocks south of here. Court Street Theaters. Yeah, I've heard there's a really good theater scene as well as a symphony in Nashua. But yeah, that is a beautiful, beautiful old building from 123 years ago. And these streets with these trees and spires, it is so picturesque. I'm walking back down to Main Street, however, as Jess just told me that Amber, the owner of Ford & Gage, a flower shop, would be a really great interview. Casey McGee's Irish Pub and Music Hall. Irish pubs are usually quite fun places. They usually have quite a few characters. I wonder what the other type of nightlife would be like. It seems like there's quite a few people in their 20s and 30s here. Now this is an old building up here. And we are, oh, what is this building here? The Mint Luxury Lofts. That is an old building. And this is a cool little sculpture. I'm gonna have to check out the Performing Arts Theater, or Performing Arts Center here in Nashua too. Oh, and look at that, there's an airplane. It's like a propeller plane. It looks like there's an old movie theater poster for Gone with the Wind. Maybe this used to be a theater? Yeah, the Tremont, 1917 to 1927. Okay, so I guess This was the Chase Building, built in 1917, and it was all different sorts of theaters before now it seemingly has been converted into Tostadas Tapas Bar, as well as some other small businesses. Coming into Nashua, I did not think this city was going to be quite, or at least the downtown area was going to be as big as it has been. And this is the Nashua Center for the Arts. I'm going to walk in there in a little bit, but I believe Fort Engage Flower Shop, a 100-year-old flower shop, should just be right up here on the left. Yeah, some beautiful murals. I'd imagine that's what the town used to look like. There wouldn't have been any cars yet. Second half of the 1800s. Here we have Fort Engage. Fresh cut flowers and botanical gifts. Let's walk inside. It looks very nice. I like these art installations of pop-up flowers. Oh, and it smells delicious.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing? Are you Amber?
I am.
So this is Cole, the husband of Amber, who owned Fort Engage. She apparently is getting ready for an event right now, but you own Coffee Kindness right here?
Yeah, so Fort Engage, 93-year-old flower shop. Bought that January last year, then October of last year, I opened up Coffee and Kindness. I'm a coffee nerd.
I love coffee too. And so how long have you been in Nashua then?
Since I've been here since 2016. I grew up in New Hampshire, but I've been West Coast for about 10 years.
Okay.
LA, San Diego, yeah.
Perfect.
Gonna have the after hours tour.
No, this is real nice. So you're sipping on some of your fresh brewed coffee. What is your specialty here?
So our specialty here is, I mean, you said it earlier, third wave coffees. I've been into light roast coffee for like 15 years.
Oh, wow.
I had this kind of crazy experience at a coffee shop where someone made me some coffee and it tasted like blueberries, but there's no blueberries in it. It's just like the natural flavors from the soil. And I've just been chasing that experience of tasting something that you know is one thing and you taste it and it's this completely other experience. I made Coffee and Kindness to give that experience to other people and hopefully show them that coffee can be roasted light and delicate and balanced, not dark and burnt. You don't need milk, you don't need syrups and things for it. We do that and we do that very well, but have people connect and start conversations through really high quality coffee.
You said you're from where in New Hampshire originally?
I'm from Hampstead, New Hampshire, which is about 30 minutes east of here. Hampstead was voted town most wanted to live in New Hampshire like 10 years in a row.
Really?
And we never used to come to Nashua. We all called it Trashua. And then I finally came here and it was beautiful. It was amazing. And it was, I don't know why it had that stigma stuck from the 90s. And I loved it. I moved here and met my now wife. We were involved with a bunch of different organizations that make Nashua really incredible.
So the city's changed a lot since you've lived here, you'd say?
Yeah, downtown was not the place to be, especially for like a younger crowd. It was very, there were some really nice restaurants on Main Street, but it wasn't something that under 30, you would probably have a lot to do. That's definitely changing with new bars, restaurant owners are changing.
There's a lot of breweries I've seen, like a lot for the population.
Yeah, which is awesome, finally.
I know growing up you heard that Nashua was Trashua, but apparently it's the safest city in not just New Hampshire, but the country with over 50,000 people. Do you generally agree with that statement?
I mean, every city has outliers. Like, yeah, I did see a pretty crazy situation on Main Street this past weekend, but totally an outlier. And I think the reason that we're so safe is that we're also, I believe, the second or third most capital efficient city. So with the resources we have and the programs and social programs we offer, we can affect the most number of people per dollar. So we're really efficient at getting those programs deployed. The better we take care of everyone in the city, the better their situation is going to be, the better they'll behave, I guess.
Other than the safety, other than the community, what's your favorite thing about this city?
I always say that we're big enough to have a Whole Foods and an Apple store, DoorDash, you know, like the modern conveniences of a city. We're small enough where like the mayor still walks down Main Street and you're like, hey, Jim.
Oh, you know the mayor on a first name basis?
Yeah, he's that kind of guy. Like that's just the very like small town feel, but big city amenities. I've never found that anywhere else. Like if you want to get involved in local politics, you want to make a change to some small municipal thing, you can do it here.
And I'd say even just walking down the downtown, almost every storefront seems used now, like some cafe or brewery or flower shop. Or...
Yep, we're finally back to capacity, and that has not been the case. The big Performing Arts Center, $22 million was raised. That's made a huge change.
And when was that built, do you know?
It was a multi-year project, and it opened officially last year.
Oh, wow, so it's brand new, okay.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons that we bought the flower shop next door to it. We just knew that like West Pearl Street in downtown was gonna finally be a real destination versus this is like a drive-through part of town. Performing Arts Center's brought in almost 100,000 people from outside Nashua in the 1 year it's been open.
Oh, wow. Are there any other changes you would want to see happen?
I think that Nashua's on a super good track. I think that continuing to invest in complete streets programs where we're sharing streets with pedestrians, scooters, bikes, cars, and making the city very walkable and able to enjoy outside. We're one of the only restaurants that has seating outside or seating available. They're pulled in right now, but we're just lucky we have a little bit of a bump out in the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah.
But up until COVID, a lot of restaurants on Main Street couldn't have as much outdoor seating. Now they do the barriers and they close the lane.
And do they do like events where they shut down the whole main street to cars?
Oh yeah, we have the holiday stroll. 35 to 40,000 people come from all around the area and fill the whole street. So we close it for a whole day. Right around Christmas, it's the most incredible event that Nashua puts on. Every restaurant, every retail store, it's the biggest day of the whole year. We'll do like 4 times a normal day. It's literally 50,000 from the top of Main Street all the way down. It's like shoulder to shoulder.
Damn. So as someone who was born in New Hampshire and now lives in Nashua, what exactly does being a New Hampshireite mean to you?
I feel like we have this, our license plate says live free or die. And that's like a really bold statement that a lot of people kind of say, and they look at New Hampshire as this like super libertarian, like, yeah, there's a lot of ownership in our own destiny and whatnot. And I think that was probably the case a long time ago. It's just a really great place to live. I think we do really well with our services. We have a really beautiful state. And yeah, we do have a lot less restriction, a lot less.
Well, there's no sales tax or...
Yeah, I mean, there's no sales tax, there's no income tax. It's a very well-regulated state, but it's by the people. And like I said, it's really easy to get involved if you want to be here. And I really like that about New Hampshire, is that we're just small enough to have a few people make a difference, or big enough to have all the services and the things you need for a comfortable life.
Thank you so much, Cole.
Yeah, cheers.
And cheers to your coffee.
Like art. So her name is Megan, and she does the most incredible latte art. So this is a mirrored swan and a matcha.
And this is all free-handed or free-poured?
All free pour. I think every year she's won the New Hampshire Coffee Festival latte art competition. Here's a Pegasus pour that she did.
Holy.
So again, and that's not like with a stick, like poking anything in. That's completely freehand pour out of the pitcher.
And so what do you call this type of brew exactly again?
Pulsar.
Pulsar.
This is the next level brewer, Pulsar.
Okay, let's try it out.
Very light and tea-like. It'll get the flavor will.
Yeah, it's not quite fruity. It's more.
So you're probably tasting stone fruit.
So Paul earlier told me I need to go to Make It Labs. Cole, you're saying I have to as well?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking to Paul? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
He's great. He's amazing. I'm the biggest fan of Makerspaces. Multiple small business owner. There's no way I could either buy all the tools that I need or hire all the people I need. Joining a Makerspace, it's like $50 a month, and I built this entire counter. You know, every one of these wood slats, milled, cut, stained, everything. I built this slab table here. Our refrigerator's broke. I literally brought the whole refrigerator over there, pinned up the motherboard, found the chip that blew. We had a spare one there, soldered it back on. Someone got like a microscope on this little tiny thing, fixed it. Like, it's what most communities are missing, is that like extreme technical skill with that social environment where you can learn anything, do anything, build anything. Things that you think are broken forever, you can fix. Being around people with those skills, you start to pick that up.
Okay, and there's a big event at Make It Labs tonight.
We have a big sculpture almost ready. So every year we build a fully human-powered 20-foot long car that has to go float on a river, go down a river, go through a mud pit, and then race a mile. It's insane.
Okay.
We're almost done building it, so you can see that.
Okay, I see that. And as I continue down Pearl Street, there really are just so many beautiful buildings. Bye. Have a good one, Amber. This coffee's delicious.
Oh, good.
Oh, looks like they do have a bus in town. Someone was telling me they hope they build a commuter rail to connect to the Lowell commuter rail to make jobs in Boston easier. And wow, look at that mural. There's a lot more art than I thought of this city. And I think this is one of the breweries. Yeah, this is Martha's Exchange. I'm not sure if this community center is open right now. No, it appears to be closed. And yeah, almost every building on Main Street and the adjacent streets have some type of storefront in them. I don't even know what half of these type of businesses are. This is like decorations, a cafe and gift shop. Interesting. And then yet another barbershop. There are a lot of people getting haircuts in Nashua. Straight ahead, we have St. Patrick's Roman Catholic Church, which was built in the late 1800s. And here on the left, we have the new county courthouse, Hillsbury County Superior Courthouse, which replaced the 1901 building. I'm not sure when this one was built. I wonder how that works, sharing the county seat with another big city like Manchester. And yeah, look at that. Another beautiful mural. Oh, and I guess we're already back at the car. Look at that. That is the post office where I started this tour. I am now back in the car.
driving south along Main Street. It's about 2 miles to get to Rivier University, which is the lone university in the city of Nashua. Let's drive a little bit and see what's on this main drag, however. We got a CVS, we have an old pizza place, and we do have some empty storefronts, actually. Wow. So yes, it looks like it's quite a new development with the downtown area having filled in so much. We have the Southern New Hampshire Medical Center. Yes, there are 2 hospitals. Nashua really does have pretty much everything you would ever need in a city. And as so many people have been saying thus far, still being able to have that really nice community vibe. But as we drive toward Rivier University, how about I tell you guys a little bit about why Nashua, at least according to my research, is so safe. This is a reflection little garden area, it said. Now, popular belief has it that more homogeneous cities and areas of the country tend to be safer, but as I mentioned earlier, Nashua is the most diverse city in the state of New Hampshire, and 15.7% of the population was actually born in another country. So it actually defies that statement. And over there, it looks like we have the Hunt community. That is a beautiful big building. Wow. Now, New Hampshire overall is the safest state in the nation, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that New Hampshire has far and away the lowest poverty rate in the nation. The poverty rate in New Hampshire is just 7.2%, which is a full percentage point lower than Utah, the next closest state. And Colorado, which has the 3rd lowest poverty rate in the nation, has a poverty rate of 9.4%. And here we are entering Rivier University. Now, it looks like they have quite a few halls, quite a few chapels. It is a private Catholic school, has about 2,500 students. Adrian Hall. Yeah, this is a really nice little university. It feels a lot bigger than 2,500 students. It feels like a full campus. Science and Innovation Center, Memorial Hall. This is a nice university. Wow. Oh, looks like there's a big country club over there. Golf is very big in the Northeast. Oh, and you just have residential homes. These are very nice. Now, the university was founded in 1933 and is apparently quite a good school. Yeah, so this is the university from the backside. Resident parking, commuter parking. Wow. This is a really nice campus, especially for as small of a school as it is. It's charming. But to get back into why Nashua is so safe, the #1 reason for crime in most parts of the country is poverty and inequality. And both Nashua as well as New Hampshire just don't have much of it. I already mentioned earlier that New Hampshire has the lowest poverty rate in the nation, and Nashua has one of the lowest poverty rates among cities at 7.59%. Nashua also only has 4.1% childhood poverty, whereas usually childhood poverty is even higher than the regular poverty rate. And the reason for this is because there are so many good paying jobs here in the newly diversified economy. But before I tell you all about that, let's head over to Mine Falls Park, which is apparently one of the most beautiful natural areas in the city and where the very first mill was built back in the 1820s. I've parked up right by the Mine Falls trailhead, but before we go check out Mine Falls, there appears to be a cool skate park here, and it's getting some good use. A lot more people on bikes and skating, but a few skaters, it seems. Got some pretty cool amenities in Nashua. This is a really nice skate park, actually. Oh, and it looks like there's people playing soccer at Stella Stadium. I looked it up. Apparently, all sorts of sports for all 3 high schools in Nashua play at Stella Park, and there's seating capacity for 3,000 people. But directly next to this skate park is the trailhead, Mill Pond Trail and Gatehouse. If I know anything about New Hampshire, there are many lakes, many ponds. This whole area used to be covered in glaciers during the Ice Age. So obviously all of them melted, created beautiful, beautiful areas. Wow, look at this. I am a sucker for a good trail, especially in the Northeast where you just have all different sorts of deciduous trees, which are gonna change color. They're already starting to change color. And up here, we have the Nashua River. I can already hear the waterfall. Oh, looks like you can go out on a boat. There's like a little dock area over here. I want to walk over to the falls right now, but it seems like there's a cool trail down there. So over here it says Gatehouse 1886 history, Mine Falls Dam and Canal System. In 1823, the Nashua Manufacturing Company received a charter to manufacture textiles and to conduct trade near the Nashua River. While the company mills were being built 3 miles away, a dam was being built at Mine Falls, and a 35-foot wide power canal was being hand dug to divert water from the river through guard gates. By the time this water reached the mills, it would provide enough hydropower to operate water wheels located under the manufacturing buildings. This cutting-edge technology distinguished the Gatehouse as an engineering marvel of its time. And this map, I guess, shows the Nashua River Mill Pond, which would have been created after this dam was built. Oh, so that's the Nashua River, and then this would be the canal. So over here, I believe, is Mill Pond, and this pond would connect with the canal. Now, this whole Mine Falls Park area is about 325 acres large, and it's a super popular place in the city of Nashua for hiking, biking, fishing, kayaking, snowshoeing, all sorts of outdoor recreation, and wow, it is just beautiful. Holy. Yes, we are next to a fairly large city. Just looking at this view, you would think we were in the middle of nowhere. And that, I think, is one of my favorite things about New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, the Northeast in general. You are never more than a stone's throw away from a gorgeous waterfall, a gorgeous river, beautiful mountains, beautiful trees, beautiful animals. And it'll always have a very special place in my heart. That is Mine Falls right there. I'm sure it used to be a much more thunderous waterfall back in the day before they built these dams. So the waterfall is right down there. This path over here, this path right here, I believe, is the new Riverwalk, where they're trying to construct a 6-mile path through forested areas and pedestrian-only access, I guess bikes too, that would connect Mine Falls Park to the city center. That would be really cool if they ever are able to actually complete it. We got a biker coming through, got people running. This is a beautiful, beautiful area. Hey, what an absolutely gorgeous, tranquil spot in town. One of my favorite things that I used to do as a kid growing up in the Boston area was skipping rocks. Let's see if I still got it. I guess I don't. But while this city has converted what used to be the main economic driver into a beautiful park today, the textile industry, which made Nashua such a thriving community for over 100 years, actually started to crumble in the 1920s. The Great Depression and then newer technology allowing more textile factories to move to the south, where wages were less, there were no labor or union laws, less regulations, meant that almost all the manufacturing jobs of New England were shipped away, and the textile empire entirely collapsed, with the last mill in Nashua closing in 1949. And over here we have another waterfall in Mine Falls State Park. This is stunning. This one's definitely man-made, obviously. Oh wow, this might be where the canal was built. I wonder if this is the original canal. I miss the Northeast forest, man. There is nothing like a forest in New England. But as Nashua today now has a thriving economy with a median household income over $96,000 in all sorts of diverse industries. As I'm sure you can guess, the city reinvented itself yet again, converting and repurposing nearly every single old abandoned mill in the city into a new type of business or some type of housing. And we're gonna head to one of them now. It is now 5:30 p.m. and I'm on the main highway, US Route 3. You would think there would be way more traffic. I guess that's another huge pro of living in a city the size of Nashua. There's hardly any traffic, even during the quote-unquote rush hours. And right here on the right, we have the Nashua River. And I am now driving across one of the many bridges in town to what is now called Millyard Technology Park. This was one of the original mills in town, just like all of these other massive, massive factories and mills in town. And it was completely repurposed during the 1960s and 1970s. So let's drive around it, park, and show you guys this old beautiful mill and tell you how it started the transformation from Nashua's largely manufacturing-based economy to its highly diversified modern economy of today. And here we have a beautiful calm stretch of the Nashua River, part of the Nashua Riverway Initiative. In 2017, Jim, I believe, is still the mayor today. A few of the different people here were saying, oh yeah, I know Jim, he's the mayor. And like, oh wow, look at that. Someone just left their pants.
with a letter. But apparently this is small enough of a town where the mayor really walks down the street and people know him on a first name basis. But directly behind this beautiful stretch of river is the Mill Yard Technology Park, which are 3 old mills. What makes this such a unique area is that these 3 mills, the first one, which was completed in the 1870s, are actually right between where the canal is, which would be on the other side of the mills, and then the river right here. But after the economic crash of the 1930s and 40s, Nashua's economy did suffer for a few decades. It was only after these, as well as countless other mills in the city, were repurposed and updated in the 1960s and 70s to attract innovative and diverse industries beyond manufacturing, that the city started to experience an economic revival. Financial services, high tech, and defense helped restart the city's economy during that time period, including in 1972, when the Magnavox Odyssey, the first ever home video game console, was created right here in Nashua. And obviously this economic revival has continued to this day, with the median household income today being $96,911, which is nearly 30% higher than the US median of $75,000 and 7.7% higher than the New Hampshire median of $90,000. The unemployment rate is also a staggeringly low 2.7%. Now, straight in front of me looks to be one of the old buildings that have not been repurposed. There really are so many old mills. I can't even imagine what the city would have looked like in its heyday. Oh, and over there, yeah, that's the canal right there. And City Hall, yeah, so we're gonna go back toward Main Street to Lofts 34. Look at this guy. Big skeleton, Maggie Goodwinder for Congress. It seems like everyone in this town is very involved, at least in local politics. And apparently the Democratic nominee for Congress lives in Nashua. Jess was telling me that she's busy today, but if I came back tomorrow or Saturday, I'd be able to interview her. Oh, look at this area, the Landing. I wonder if those are apartments now. That is a there's so many beautiful converted old factory buildings. I just love all of the brick. This must have been a sight to behold 100, 150 years ago. Now, on average or in general, cities have a violent crime rate more than double those of rural areas, and a overall crime rate nearly triple those of rural areas. Yet somehow Nashua's overall crime rate is 47% below the national average, and the violent crime rate is 58% below the national average, which is just unheard of for a city of any size, much less one with nearly 100,000 people. That's the Mint Luxury Lofts building that I went by earlier. Yeah, so we're gonna drive up Main Street. The Oddfellows Pub Brewery, a lot of people were saying, yeah, it looks to be already quite busy. It's only 5:55 p.m. We are driving behind some of these mills on an old residential street, a little back road, if you may. I just cannot get over how many old buildings are in this city. So here on the north side of the river, we have Lofts 34, now leasing, pet friendly with amenities. And I'd imagine they have beautiful, beautiful views of the river. And these are the old railroad tracks of the Lowell and Nashua Railway. This is the Lofts 34 building from the front. Oh, it looks like it connects via a bridge to a different mill building over there. And there's another type of old building right here on the riverfront. Now, I did look at prices for Lofts 34. The studio apartments start at $1,500 a month. A 2-bed, 1-bath is gonna range you between $2,200 and $2,700 per month. A 3-bed, 1.5-bath is $3,100 per month. And a 4-bed, 3-bath, the fanciest apartment, probably the penthouse, is gonna run you $4,630 per month. There's a lot of big tech apparently in Nashua. And considering the prices of these apartments, there better be some very good paying jobs. But over here we have the apartments at Cotton Mill, also now leasing. I think this is the one that actually has the views of the river, and we are going to be checking out the Merrimack River later as well. Don't worry, I did not forget about that. Mirage of the Horse. Yeah, it's a nice little sculpture here. And wow, what a beautiful shot of the Nashua River and downtown. But while I'm sure many young professionals live in all these apartments in these converted massive mill complex, the majority of people who live in Nashua are families living in residential homes. So how about we check a few of those out? So over here on the right, as I leave the Loft 34 parking lot, is Bonhoeffer's Espresso and Cafe. Apparently that place has very good reviews as well. There is a duck with sunglasses right there.
as I drive up Concord Street on the north side of town. Now, the median home value overall in Nashua is $475,600, and that number has increased by 8.9% over the past year. New England in general, even though it gets very cold, you can't compete with how many good paying jobs this region of the country has. And as such, home values are almost always rising. Even during the 2008 financial crisis, a lot of these homes didn't go down that much in value. Of course, $475,000 is about $113,000 above the US average. The US median is $362,000, but it's actually cheaper than the New Hampshire median home value, which is $486,000. So even though this is the second largest city in New Hampshire and probably the nicest quote unquote larger city, Manchester apparently has quite a few problems. It's actually cheaper than the average home is gonna cost you in the state. And right up here, we have, I think it's this one? Yeah, this blue one, I believe, is for sale. It is a 5-bed, 4-bath, 2,200 square foot home, and it is going for $510,000. This is a very, very big home. These are some quaint, cute colonial style homes. Seems to be a very safe neighborhood. I don't think this is the quote unquote affluent side of town. That's more in the hills to the south. We'll be checking out a few of those homes later as well. Some of those homes are up over $1 million worth. Now on this north side of town, there's apparently a very beautiful park, quite large, not as big as Mine Falls, but it's called Greeley Park. And it's another gorgeous outdoor area. But over here on the left, we have another home for sale. It is a 4-bed, 2-bathroom home, 1,600 square feet, going for $550,000. So it definitely looks to be quite a bit more put together than the last house we looked at. I am really enjoying my drive through this north side of town, however, and it appears that New Hampshire really is the free-thinking state, and you have people all across the political spectrum here. It's one of the few states where it's not that divided, at least on a personal level. People get along with each other, even if they have differences of views politically. Over here we have the Farwell Funeral Home. That's another beautiful building. Oh, and this guy has no helmet on the motorcycle. I'm not sure that's legal anymore, but he is embodying the live free or die spirit that New Hampshire is known for. I am back on Canal Street, however, and I want to drive by BAE Systems, or one of the main campuses of BAE Systems, which is an aerospace and defense company, one of the largest employers in Nashua. Some great paying jobs. Oh, that is a beautiful mural right here. Wow. Look at that. It's like a bald eagle with all the planes. Yes, I think this whole building, this must be BAE Systems. Right across from Dave's Quality Dry Cleaning. Well, right next to the parking lot for BAE Systems is a massive church. Let's go park the car. So apparently this gargantuan church is the St. Mary and Archangel Michael Coptic Orthodox Church. I didn't know they had Coptic churches in the US. But that thing is beautiful. And it's directly across from a more modern building, BAE Systems. I'm not sure if this was originally a mill, but I believe 4,000 people in this area are employed by BAE Systems. And these are all very good paying jobs. And I am going, wow, there are just so many mills. This one does not seem to be converted yet, but I'm driving over yet another one of the many bridges that cross the Nashua River. And I am going to head to the Tree Streets neighborhood, which is an area of town directly southwest of the downtown area that all have streets named after trees. Now this area here looks to be not the most well kept either. Yeah, there's some graffiti on this railway. But yeah, even the quote unquote worst parts of town, they don't look all that bad. And look at this, we have so many murals in town. Another one of the main tourist attractions in the area is Canopy Lake Park. It's about a 30-minute drive away. Apparently it's one of the best amusement parks in New England. I actually never went. I heard so much about it growing up. Apparently it's a water park combined with a normal amusement park. But we are now entering the Tree Streets neighborhood. We got the Nashua Dodgers. Oh, yeah, this definitely doesn't appear to be the most well-kept area. A lot of the buildings seem somewhat abandoned, if not completely abandoned. And the homes, I mean, they're not terrible looking, but they are not the nicest homes either. Now, this is Chestnut Street. And the home that is for sale, I believe, is this one right here on the left. Oh no, so this building is apartments. This building right here is the one for sale. It is a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,350 square feet, and it is going for $371,000. So I guess this is just a little look at what a poor neighborhood in Nashua looks like. I know it's still quite expensive even for being the quote-unquote poor part of town. But yeah, even for being a poor part of town, the houses don't look terrible. People were also telling me that apparently a big homeless population resides around these Tree Streets areas as well. I have not, just in general in the city, like maybe it's because I'm used to big cities that have massive homeless problems. I have not seen too many homeless people here. Let's go up Walnut Street, check out another one of these Tree Streets, and see the conditions of these homes. Yeah, like don't get me wrong, the neighborhood probably has seen better days, but if this is the quote-unquote worst neighborhood, Nashua really ain't all that bad. Now I am gonna show you guys the more wealthy side of town where you're gonna have a few homes over $1 million, but before we do that, as the sun is getting close to setting, I wanted to show you guys the Nashua Rail Yard, which I believe is where the 6 different railroad lines converged back in 1878. And then after that, Make It Labs, which Cole was telling me, as well as Paul, it's basically just like a huge do-it-yourself. But I really actually like this whole industrial side of Nashua. You can tell they've put a lot of work into renovating and repurposing the city, but there's still a lot of work to be done, and the city has a ton of potential. Now, the population growth numbers were pretty stagnant from the 90s until the 2010s, but I do think that the population's actually growing again now. There seems to be a lot of new tech jobs as well as biotech, and the population should probably hit 100,000 within the next decade. Oh, but look at this home up here. Okay. This house looks like did it undergo a fire? Holy. That is not in great condition. That sunset looks like it is going to be beautiful. I actually wasn't able to find the rail yards or a place to park to see them. It seemed to all be private homes. We're crossing over yet another one of these railroad convergent tracks over here, however, and I'm going to the neighboring town of Hudson, which is directly across the Merrimack River. And yes, for the first time today and the second time in my life, we are about to see the mighty Merrimack River. It's a lot bigger than the Nashua River. Oh, boy, look at that. There's apparently a thrift shop which has a good view of the river. Yeah, we have now entered the town of Hudson. It's not the Hudson River, but it's a town on a river, and it's called Hudson. They could really make better use of the space along the Merrimack River. I know the Nashua River had its whole Riverwalk area, but this is just, it's really not very developed. It's kind of just like is this a house or a business of some kind? I mean, it's a beautiful river. I hope I am not trespassing right now. I just want to see the Merrimack River. Okay, so there's a little bit of a nice view area right here. Yeah, just look at this mysterious forest right next to it. You hear all the animals inside. Dusk is my favorite time of day. I am a sucker for a good sunset. And look at that sky reflecting off the Merrimack River. This is just gorgeous. Now, if you aren't from the Northeast, you may have never heard of the Merrimack River, but as we have a boat going down it right now, you can tell it's still a massive body of water. Now, this river runs through many major cities in New Hampshire and Massachusetts, including Concord, Manchester, Nashua, obviously, Lowell, Lawrence, and Haverhill, Massachusetts, before it dumps into the Atlantic Ocean. Oh, there's a little beach down there. I don't think I can get down to it. Now, obviously, daylight is not on my side right now, and there's actually quite a few other parts of Nashua that I do want to check out. The first being Make It Labs. Let's go there now. The sun has now officially set. We are getting the last little remnants of sunset. It is just a breathtaking sky. And look at how massive this Merrimack River is. What a beautiful shot. Look at the moon. Here's Make It Labs, community makerspace where all sorts of people in Nashua can come together, share their ideas, build the things they need to build. And it's so cool seeing people collaborating. Yeah, let's walk inside and see what all the fuss is about. Oh, this is like when they close the streets and stuff, I guess. That must be the holiday celebration. Yeah, there's a lot of people in here. So I'm here with Chris, the social media manager for Make It Labs. He's gonna give me a little tour of this building and what it is you guys all do here.
So Make It Labs is a makerspace, mostly for the DIY person. You can come here on any day and find somebody in any of the departments that range from woodworking, automobile stuff, welding machines, laser etchers, we've got water cutters, pretty much anything you need to create. It's volunteer run.
And you said there's over 300 members now?
Over 300, yep.
Okay, wow.
So the building is comprised of 3 floors, 20,000 plus square feet, workshops, textiles, we have pottery. Like I said, anything you can think of. We have classes for safety to make sure that everyone knows what they're doing and they get certified, authorization to use the lift for the car.
Is this the car that's going to go over the water and then drive?
Yep.
That's this one. Oh, okay.
So we've been working on this for the Lowell Kinetic Sculpture Race. So they're finishing up that right now. They get the steering wheel on there, putting on the seats right now.
Is this a guy with a camera giving a tour to a guy with a camera?
It is.
More or less.
You've got the dead cat and the camera. Come by, get a tour. If he doesn't have enough technical information, I'm happy to give you info.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So we've got 3D printers.
Oh, I just sit right here, a 3D printer.
This is a water cutter.
What does that mean?
It cuts things with water. Like
really?
Literally like a high power pressure washer, but it can cut metal.
Wow, that is fascinating. High-tech engineering, wow.
It was all double E's. They're all electrical engineering.
Oh, everyone, oh, okay.
Building a mechanical object.
Yeah, it seems like everyone here they share their knowledge with everyone else. It's cool.
Right. Well, half of it's probably wrong.
But then you figure it out, right? You learn the hard way.
Well, that's exactly what it is. We don't know how to do it, but we're going to figure it out.
So one of the really cool things, you don't have to be afraid to ask questions. They'll tell you detailed. We got a guy upstairs that built this R2-D2 over here.
And it's going to move like a regular R2-D2.
It was remote controlled. They've used it in the holiday stroll. They're doing orientation for new signups.
Oh.
Let's cut through here. So this used to be our electronics room, and that's basically what that room is now. We have our 3D printers here, some specialty resin printers over there. We've got circuit board machine makers. All of this stuff is 3D printed.
Yeah. And what's the main thing you like to do in this space?
My job right now is to get it out to the public because we want to get some excitement into DIY space. Go over here.
I wouldn't think a city Nashua size would have something like this.
Yeah,
This is really cool.
It's off on the side, but we're trying to get it a little bit more into the downtown area. So this is our textiles department.
Oh, wow. Just like back in the day.
Old equipment, old traditional weaving with foot pedals.
Is this something that would have been used like in the 1800s here?
Yeah, basically.
Oh, wow.
This is like.
And so are you from Nashua originally?
Yeah.
And has it changed a lot in your lifetime, would you say?
It has. I mean, I used to never go downtown, but I joined up with a couple of nonprofits in the area. This is our chemistry lab.
You guys have everything.
Let's go upstairs. There's a downstairs also.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so we haven't even had...
Like I said, 20,000 plus square feet.
Yeah. So upstairs first?
Yep. So we see this right here. This is one of the robotics teams. Have you ever seen BattleBots?
Yeah. Is that from... You guys build that stuff here?
Kind of, but this is for a high school program.
Oh, wow.
From Nashua High.
Yeah, Cole was saying that Nashua is one of the best cities at using their funds properly.
We have a really good arts. This is the robotics area. So this is their workstation. I don't know if I can turn the lights on here.
I can see it pretty well. It's got pretty good low light.
This one here too. Wow. They all have different uses. This is our classroom. Any of our classes on the website, there's so many departments here, so organizing them into classes that are hour, 2 hours, and then they go and do some hands-on stuff. Got a little relaxing area over here.
And so can members come at any time, or is there only certain...
24/7 access.
Wow. So this is just a special event tonight, was why there's so many people?
Every Thursday we have open house. We open the doors. This is our audio-visual studio.
Oh,
As you can see, it sounds a little different in here.
Yeah, no, this is like a full gaming setup.
Yep, we've got recording studio software plus speakers. Yeah. We got a nice PC that can run all that for recording vocals, podcast, video editing, green screen. We've got backdrops. Let's see, remote controlled lights. So we've got...
Oh yeah, you guys got everything, wow.
And then, so we go from high tech to, hopefully nobody's in there. Oh, good. All right, you ready for this?
Oh wow, this is trippy.
So this is the retro room. Everything from like the original Apple, all console television.
Is there a Magnavox Odyssey here?
There might be. I used to have something like that.
A Commodore. Oh, the old Apple, yeah.
Yep.
From like the 70s.
That's like one of the first like video phones.
Oh, wait.
Just like stuff you don't normally see. A lot of volunteers bring stuff here to donate to us too, which is great.
No, this has been a very pleasant surprise. This is much bigger than I thought.
It's a lot. There's a lot of stuff to see. As you can imagine, the electric bill is pretty crazy. And so we rent stalls out to members.
Oh, so it's like a co-working space.
Yep. This whole textiles area downstairs used to be like this. There's still a few rental spots. So this office is somebody's. That door over there is someone's. This is the conference room. They're doing orientation right now, so that's why the door's
For
closed.
the new members?
Yes.
And what's this in here? Is this a
I
3D
don't know.
printer?
Yep, probably a homemade 3D printer.
So 300 members, 20,000 square feet.
And we're the first makerspace in New Hampshire.
In all of New Hampshire?
And this is probably the largest. So we're gonna go downstairs now.
Thank you. So is this your favorite thing about Nashua, or what's your...
This is definitely one of the favorites because there's just so much cool stuff that you can do here.
Would you say the community vibe of this space, is it indicative of the whole city? Is it very friendly to each other?
We're getting there. We're just getting started. The community has heard about us, but they haven't really come here. Just be blown away by all of the cool. Every time I come here, I see something different. This space is a hidden gem in Nashua.
Yeah, it seems like Nashua has a lot of hidden gems.
Yeah.
I've been very surprised.
It's basically like a CNC machine for wood. You can see an example of what people are making with this stuff.
You make like fine
was
carvings.
Carved.
Oh, wow.
Really neat, and logos and emblems. This is pottery. This whole department is pottery. We've got kilns over there for firing and glazing, and we've got stained glass around the corner here and some tile works. You can go around there, and this is where they fire, you know, after they glaze, they put them in here, heat them up really hot, and then they come out and they look like that.
Perfect.
So it's mostly a DIY place. We do have resource managers to show people where everything is so they feel safe working on stuff.
I have genuinely never seen anything like this.
And there's always something being improved here. So that'll be the new 3D printing room.
And so you said that you're trying to increase the present. Are you going to build another space downtown, or is it?
Anything's possible in the future. But yeah, this is what open house looks like.
Yeah, no, this has been.
There's always somebody
so
working
cool.
on something.
No, thank you so much for this tour, Chris. This is
No problem. And there's always people bringing food too.
Food, yeah. Why do you think Nashua has this such tight-knit community? Why do you think that is?
Everyone knows each other. That's the one best way to connect to a city. Get involved, know the businesses. They're not going to hurt you. They're going to help you. I didn't want to have anything to do with downtown 10 years ago. I'm always downtown now because I know everybody. That's like the number one thing to do. Get to know your local businesses and nonprofits.
Thank you so much, Chris.
No problem.
And so at our time, since going on this tour, there is a free telescope.
Yes, you can take it, Chris.
This your new toy you're gonna play with?
I believe so. I did not know maker spaces like that existed.
And they also cooked food and they gave me some free ribs.
Everyone was so friendly, just like everyone in Nashua has been. I think my biggest takeaway is this is one of the nicest cities I have ever stepped foot in. Perhaps that's why it's so safe. Those are blue lights because those are parked police cars. They're not trying to give you speeding tickets. They literally have their lights on to let you know, slow down. We don't want to give you a ticket. But Nashua is still colloquially referred to as the Mall of Northern Massachusetts for a reason, so we still have one final stop on our itinerary, the Pleasant Lane Mall. I am now entering the very southern portion of Daniel Webster Highway. This is where all the stores, TJ Maxx, Trader Joe's, there's a Best Buy. Yep, there is Costco and Home Depot on the left as well. I don't think there's many cities of only 90,000 people that would have a Costco. It's just that Nashua has a lot of retail and big box stores that other similarly sized cities would not, due to people willing to take the 45-minute drive to the New Hampshire border to buy expensive goods tax-free. I originally thought this Pleasant Lane Mall was going to be a big outdoor mall. It appears to be just a massive indoor mall, which makes a lot of sense considering that this part of the country gets very, very cold in the wintertime. So let's walk through Macy's and show you guys what tax-free shopping in New Hampshire looks like. Apparently the rest of the mall actually closed at 8. It is now 8:30, but you can take a little gander. But now that we're outside Macy's again, we're gonna walk around the mall complex. It was built in 1986, and it's actually the largest mall in the state of New Hampshire. All of this is still the mall. There's 139 separate stores inside it, 15 restaurants. Yeah, over here would be the entrance, Pleasant Lane. And then right over there behind that fence, oh, I think there's an opening. Is this open right here? I can't really, I think it is not. It looks a little deceptive from far away, but no, they still have the chain link fence right here. Oh, but there's the railroad tracks. Yeah, that must be the old Nashua and Lowell Railroad right along the Merrimack River. How cool. But leave a like if you enjoyed my adventure to Nashville and want to see more videos like it. Let me know any other cities or towns with fascinating histories that you want me to explore while I'm in New England. And while it would have been cool to be able to go inside the Pheasant Lane Mall, as we found out on my adventure today, Nashua is a lot more than just shopping. It actually, as soon as I said that, someone that was in the mall left. So I was able to walk inside, and yeah, it is a very, very big mall. 979,000 square feet. They even got Build-A-Bear Workshop, and there is an Apple store somewhere as well. Hey, the new iPhone came out. Maybe I come back and buy it tax-free.